That's a pitta thing, because pittas in their mind have to make everything productive. So even rest is productive, where, like the Kaphas are like, I'm not trying to be productive. I'm just trying to rest. I just want to rest. And Vadas are like, rest? What's rest? I can rest when I die.
Welcome to Transformative Tea Talk with Soul Aligned Living. We provide education, resources, and tips on holistic health, mindset, yoga, qigong, and ayurveda. Today's topic is, what are doshas? And before we begin, we're just going to come into this space and with our little opening. So you can just close your eyes or have a soft gaze. You can sit comfortably, prop yourself up with some pillows. Whenever you're watching this, take a breath. We surround ourselves with a bubble of white light, God's love and light. Only those with the highest intention can communicate through us or to us and to us. We are more than our bodies. We are beings of love. We are beings of light. We call on those whose wisdom and experience is greater than our own, including our higher selves, to guide us and protect us. And above all, we are so thankful. Thank you for joining us. We talked about Ayurveda, and doshas came up, and you're probably wondering, like I was once upon a time, what are doshas?
What does she keep talking about? What's Vata? What's Pitta? Why does she keep saying these words?
What does this mean?
So today we're going to talk about what all that means and what you may be. So we're going to go through just a little bit of a checklist of what the different doshas are. And, if you resonate with more of one of them, that might be what you are. So chances are most people resonate with a little bit of all of them. So usually people are a balance. So there's a balance. I am tridoshic, so I have a balance of all of them, which also means that I come out of balance a lot more easier. If you are more a Pitta Vata type, you're going to have more of those qualities as I go through the list. If you're just more Vata, you'll have a lot more of those. So as you're listening, kind of listen to things that you're more of, and they will not all apply as I go down the list. Not everything is going to apply to every single Vata type person. So kind of keep a little checklist as we're going through when I say like the things that Vata is, the things that Pitta is, the things that the Kapha is. Kind of keep a little checklist there, and then at the end you'll have an idea for what you more align with. And also that changes depending on the season, depending on time of day, depending on what we're in balance and out of balance of. So the easiest way to do it is to take what are you normally, not maybe this week, but what do you typically do over the last several years, the last 10 years, what do you lean more towards? And then when you're looking at what you're tending to right now, that may be where you're more out of balance. So that's an easy way to do that. So if you want to keep two checklists, or you want to go back and listen to the replay again, do this one, keeping track of what you've done over a longer term, and go back and listen again and keep track over maybe just the last week or a couple days, and you'll see where you're more out of balance right now based off of what your normal qualities are over your lifespan. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, so we're going to start with Vata. Vata moves things. It's made of air and ether. That's when you think of Vata, you think of very light, of movement, change, dryness. So like if you have dry skin, that's typically a Vata thing. And our physiological systems, it's for our nervous system, respiration and elimination. If you have imbalanced Vata, you're going to have dry skin, constipation, premature wrinkling, anxiety, fear, and then a general feeling of being spaced out. But if your vata is balanced, you're going to have enthusiasm for life. You're going to be healers or vatas. So if you're a healer, you're a vata. Inspired writers, artists. So those are very artistic people, are usually the vata people, and good speakers. That's when you're balanced. You have that capability to, but then you also fall out of balance a lot easier with that vata. So if you're a vata, this is the checklist to kind of pay attention to. So these are the qualities that you look for in a vata person. You have a slimmer frame with a fine bone structure, and your muscles won't be as pronounced. You tend to have a hard time putting on weight. You have drier skin. You tend towards constipation or gas when your digestion is off. You have the premature wrinkles. You may have been called spacey or an airhead. You have a wonderfully creative mind and can change your mind easily. Your speech is fast, possibly with a nervous tone, and you could be a drama queen when you talk. You are incapable, or you are not incapable, sorry, wrong word. You are capable of original thought. You are an artist, musician, or inventor. You have thinner, finer hair, small eyes, and more brittle nails. Your voice has been called airy and may have a thinner, higher tonality. Your appetite varies and your eyes are often bigger than your belly. You are a super quick learner, but if you are out of balance, it goes in one ear and out the other unless you really focus. You like airy foods like toast, chips, and crackers. Popcorn. You have a tendency to multitask. When you're out of balance, you tend towards anxiety and nervousness or fear and depression. You may have been called a worrywart, and you have an urge towards deep spiritual practice. So who all resonates with some of those vata qualities?
And I'm laughing a little bit because I'm like, not the vata, more kapha. Because I did take a quiz at some point and it told me that I was more kapha than vata. And maybe I misread it. Or maybe I'm delusional.
Or it might have
Maybe
been
you're
more
out of
at that
balance.
time. You might have been.
And it could have been because it was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So here's a little bit more. You might be drawn to dabbling in mind-altering drugs. You have deep intuition or some psychic abilities. Your resting heart rate ranges from 80 to 100 beats per minute. Your sleep is light, and when you're out of balance, you're prone to early morning insomnia. You bite your nails. You feel too cold more often than too hot. You have an irregular menstrual cycle. You spend money as fast as it comes in. And you have quick, active, and fearful dreams, or fearful. For our Pitta dosha, Pitta is fire and just a little bit of water, but mostly fire. Pitta rules our digestion and our metabolism. So you might hear me say, we need something to stoke our digestive fire. That's trying to stoke the Pitta in us, especially for those people that don't have a lot of Pitta. Well, I'm trying to, I add ginger and cinnamon to my coffee. I add ginger and cinnamon to a lot of my foods because that stokes the digestive fire to kind of get my Pitta going a little bit more. Because I tend to be, even though I'm tridoshic, I tend to be more vata kapha. Shannon's looking at me sideways.
I'm just thinking. So on the digestion part, if you're more Pitta, do you want more things to increase that Pitta for your digestion, or do you want things to slow it down?
You want to kind of round it a little bit. So if you're more Pitta, you don't want the cinnamon and the ginger as much. You might add a little bit, but not to every single thing. So you're going to slow yours down a little bit more. You want to ground a little bit more. You want to give yours a little bit more moisture and dryness at the same time. You want to add some more sweet foods in if you're more Pitta.
Well, you don't have to tell me that twice. I'm good with sweets.
Done, she says. Done.
Yeah.
So the qualities of pitta are very sharp, being very sharp, and this could be emotional sharpness. You feel very like a lot of people that are pitta don't like to oil. So like whenever I say, we should oil our bodies and, I add oil to all my food, pittas don't like that because they're already very oily. So they don't feel like they like that oiliness. But it's probably one of the best things for them to do. But they can also feel very light and unstable. If your pitta is out of balance, you could have a lot of fevers, loose stools, skin rashes, and acne. Whenever I see that, it's immediately I think pitta imbalance because I get them right here, and I'm like, it's my pitta. I've got my pitta coming out. It's got to come out somehow. If you have very heated emotions, anger and frustration, that's usually pitta. When we become overly critical and compulsive, and I recognize that in myself when I start getting where I'm like critical of things, I'm like, ooh, my pitta's coming out. If your pitta is balanced, you have a gift of discernment. You can see situations more clearly. So it gives you a little bit more clarity in your everyday life and situations on knowing what you need to do. And then a list of things for you to keep track of. If you have these qualities, you have a naturally muscular or toned body with a medium bone structure. You may have a more angular face with deep set, moderately sized eyes. You have slightly oily skin with a rosy or ruddy complexion. Your skin may be sensitive, prone to rashes and acne. You tend towards looser stools when your digestion is off. Your hair started turning gray early, or will, if you're younger. You may have been called intense. You have wonderfully sharp, focused mind, and often feel that you know the best way to do things. That's my pitta right there. By the way, I know.
I've been called out on that a few times too. Yeah.
You have leadership qualities, and it's difficult for you to be a follower when in a group setting. So your directors and supervisors and stuff like that are usually pitta. You're not going to find someone that's like alfalfa in a leadership position. So you kind of have to have some of that pitta quality, and you might not be all pitta, but to be in a leadership position, usually you've got to have that fire. Otherwise, you won't do that job. You have finer hair that's lighter in color. Your appetite is strong. You may have been known to get hangry before. You are often thirsty. When you skip a meal or are hungry, your friends know to watch out. You may become angry or irritated. When you're out of balance, you crave spicy foods. When you are mentally or emotionally out of balance, you tend towards intensity, anger, or irritation. You can also be highly critical of others and yourself. Your menstrual cycle is regular with medium to moderate flow. You feel too hot more often than too cold. Your speech is moderately paced. Your tone is sharp or intense, and your words can be combative or judgmental when you're out of balance. Your resting pulse ranges from 70 to 80 beats per minute. You have very colorful dreams, sometimes with fiery elements like war or violence. And you love spending money on luxuries.
Yeah.
Those
Guys, see if you guys can guess what we are as you go through this. You just watch our facial expressions.
Yeah, you can hear us giggle and laugh at our own things.
Yeah.
And we still have kapha to go through, but a lot of people they claim vata before they'll claim pitta, because the pittas are sometimes seen as like angry people, like the angry people, the critical people. And it's not completely entirely true. It's when you're out of balance. But a lot of people will claim the being out of balance for Vata quicker, because that just means you have some anxiety and you're just a little spacey. Whereas Pitta, sometimes Pittas can be mean, especially when you're out of balance.
And I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, just because I'm running around like a little 2-year-old having my temper tantrum does not mean that it has anything to do with you. This is me. This is me. And think of me as your 2-year-old who has not had a nap. Like, how are you going to handle that? Okay. Just tell me to go away and go in my room, and I will. And I will apologize a lot for my little bad behavior. But I do. If anybody has seen the movie Inside Out. Inside Out. If you've seen the cartoon Inside Out, I am like anger sometimes. My head explodes.
I can look back and see, I used to have, where I worked somewhere where we had multiple clinical supervisors. So I was one of 5 clinical supervisors, and I would get to the point where I was just so agitated and irritated about everything. One of the other supervisors used to come to my office and she'd throw chocolates on my desk. And so
looking here, I will feed you from a distance.
She was like, here, Michelle, you need some of this. And so looking back on that, I can see that that's when my Pitta was more out of balance. I wasn't just frustrated and upset over the normal day-to-day things. I was just out of balance and I needed to bring myself in balance. And chocolate works for that. So I don't know if she had any experience in Ayurveda. I'll have to ask her. I don't know, but maybe she just knew that I love chocolate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, it was sweet. And I mean, who doesn't like chocolate? So, there's that. So. All right, and then we're going to get over here to our kapha. Kapha holds things together. Our kapha is more stable, heavy, has wetness and coolness to it. Our kapha is our force behind our lymphatic system and behind our mucous membranes. If you get very congested, you have a lot of mucus, you can usually, that is when your kapha is out of balance. Like I know this week I've been more a little congested. I know I have a little bit more mucus. So I've been drinking some tea to focus on reducing my kapha, because I know that that's one of the signs, especially for me, when I'm out of balance. And I might have had a little bit more dairy than typical. So there's that too. And for me, dairy doesn't like me. So if you're out of balance with kapha, you're going to have a hard time losing excess weight, and you will gain weight easily. Heaviness and the stability of quality of kapha and holding things together can also lead you to more codependent attachments and to holding on to things that no longer work for you, to things that are no longer in alignment with you.
That's my kapha.
So the well-balanced kapha is well lubricated, sturdy, dependable. And so the qualities that we're going to, for your checklist, if you have a thicker build and a rounder face, you'll sometimes say, if I just look at food, I gain weight. I used to say that. Be like, my husband could eat a whole container of donuts, a whole donuts, and all I had to do was look at the donuts. I didn't even eat a donut. I just looked at them and I gained weight. So if you've said that, you might have a little bit of kapha in there. You have rounder body features in general. Your cheeks are plump and your nose is fleshy. Your eyes are large and round. You have been told that you are unbelievably beautiful. You have been told that you have great skin. People have asked to touch it. Or that your skin is very soft. Your skin can be moist, and when out of balance, you may have cystic acne. You have strong, healthy gums and teeth. Your hair is thick, curly, wavy, or has a polished look. Your joints are large and well lubricated. They generally don't ache or crunch or squeak. If they do that, that's a Vata thing. If you have the crunchy The crunchy joints. If you do a squat and you hear crunching, that's a Vata thing. So the Kaphas have more well lubricated joints, so they're not going to have that crunchy feeling. They're not as prone to inflammation. You are rarely super thirsty. Your appetite is predictable, but not necessarily big. You tend towards slower and more sluggish digestion. You feel heavy after eating. Your stools tend to be large and bulky, possibly even with some mucus. You sweat a lot, but it smells sweet. And that's one thing I don't think I talked about with Vata and Pitta. The Vatas don't really sweat a lot, and Pittas will sweat, but there's more of a foul odor to the sweat of a Pitta. With Kapha, it's more of a, you'll sweat, but you have like a sweet odor. You have been called earthy or grounded. Your friends know they can always count on you. You're a total love bug, but you can get possessive or overly sentimental when out of balance. You are generally calm and consistent. When out of balance, you may be a hoarder. Your body temperature tends to be cool, but not cold. Your period is regular with average to heavy flow. You sleep heavily when in balance. You love sleeping late, and it can be hard to get you out of bed in the morning. Your speech moves at a slow pace. Your tone is soft, and your words are usually sweet. Your resting heart rate is usually from 60 to 70 beats per minute. Your dreams are romantic. You dream of sex, snow, and watery places like cool mountain lakes. You have good finances and know how to save money.
Yeah, no.
So now when you go through, you total those up,
Hold on.
you go through the checklist, you know, see what you have more of on that aspect. Then you can look and see, you know, if you have, you might have to listen to the replay to catch them. That's okay. But you can see what you have more of. If you have more Vata, or if you have more Pitta or more Kapha. And sometimes you'll have, you know, like 7 of each. I don't know how many there are, so don't quote me on that, but sometimes you'll have like more even number. And so that is when you're considered tridoshic. If you have about the same of 2, you like higher levels of 2 of them, and then a lower level of 1, then you're bidoshic, and you have, you know, you could be Pitta Kapha or Pitta Vata, or you could have one that just mainly sticks out, and you could be just mainly Vata or mainly Pitta or maybe mainly Kapha. But we all have some of the qualities. So you're going to have 1 or 2 of everything regardless, because we have a little bit of all of them within us. But some are going to be really, really out there, and then some are going to be like, okay, yeah, I have that too. That's my rundown of the different doshas, so that everyone can kind of have a better understanding when I talk about the doshas, and when I'm referring to Pitta or referring to Vata during our tea talks, to have kind of a greater understanding of what those are and what you might be as I'm talking. And then when we're talking about food and nutrition, or even movement and yoga and things that might be better for one dosha over the other, you can kind of get a glimpse of what, you know, you might want to lean more towards to balance yourself out.
Yeah, when I first heard of Ayurveda, and I learned that I was primarily Vata, that I'm Vata Pitta. So, but as far as Vata, it explained a lot. Like that, you know, it's a way to learn about yourself, because I was always cold. I liked hot food. I always wanted warm food. People thought I was crazy because it could be the heat of summer and I wanted something warm and savory. And when I learned about Vata, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
So it really is a way to learn about yourself, and then learn how to go forward. You start learning when those imbalances happen, and then you can kind of offset that.
Right. Yeah. It gives you a chance. You can embrace the balanced part and then work on balancing out what you notice is out of balance. So,
Right.
because none of us stay in balance, you know, different times a day are vata, different times a day are pitta. So like from 6 to 10 is, I think 6 to 10 is kapha time of day. So that's when, you know, like in the morning, we should wake up before 6 a.m. because from 6 to 10, that's when you want to sleep in. So if you're getting up at 8 o'clock, you're going to be more tired because that's the kapha time of day. So that's when we're more sluggish naturally. And then same thing in the evening. We should go to bed before 10 o'clock because from 6 to 10 is the kapha time of day. And so that's when we're in that mindset of getting ready for bed. And then I always get vata and pitta confused on their time. So one's from 2 to 6 and the other one's from 10 to 2. And I can't remember. I have to look that up because I don't have my little note on that right here in front of me to look at. But I want to say that I think 10 to 2 is vata because that's if you pass 10 o'clock and you're not sleeping yet, your mind's just like, oh, over here, doing this, doing that. And so those of us that go to bed normally at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, no matter what, because our mind is like all over the place. And that's the vata-ness of us. I don't know if that's a real word, but that's a Michelle word. So our mind kind of gets more in that spacey area. And I could be wrong on that. It might be the pitta time because there's 2 different kinds of insomnia. You can have a pitta insomnia, which is I can't sleep and I'm running through all the things I need to do. I should have done this. 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 Tomorrow I need to do this, 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 and this. And you're making lists in your head. That's the pitta insomnia. And so sometimes I have that. Sometimes I'm like, all the things I didn't do today, all the things I should have done today, all the things I need to do tomorrow, and oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. So that's more like a pitta insomnia. Vata insomnia is like your mind's just all over the place. You're just like here and there and you know, like all over the place. That's more a vata insomnia. So that can switch back and forth based on the time of year it is, on what you're out of balance on currently. I know that when my mind starts going all over the place at night, I know it's usually I've had too much popcorn because I'll get into a phase where I want popcorn every afternoon from 2 to 3. For some reason, I just want popcorn. And so I'll do that. And then at night, I'm like, staring at the wall, go to this and this and this. But I'm not making any list in my mind. It's not anything productive. Pitta wants to be productive. So, and when you hear Shannon says it a lot, she'll say rest is productive. That's a pitta thing because pittas in their mind have to make everything productive. So even rest is productive. Where, you know, like the kaphas are like, I'm not trying to be productive. I'm just trying to rest. I just want to rest. And vatas are like, rest. What's rest? I can rest when I die.
I used to say that. You can sleep when you're dead. Let's go.
So, and just by, if you pay attention to what those phrases people say, you can tell what they're more lean towards their main dosha is by that, just that phrase right there. Like, you know, how are they towards sleep? You know, if it's productive, you need rest for your body. It's productive. Rest is productive. Others are like, I don't need sleep when I die. And kaphas are like, I'm just tired and want to go lay down. I just want to lay down. I'm not tired. I don't care if it's productive and I don't care if I die tomorrow. I'm still sleeping today.
Okay, I have to say this because so my husband and I have this, like, I think he might be a little kapha. I've not had him take a test, but just from what I know about it, but he can go and rest in the middle of the day. And that just like almost like ramps me up to where I can't wrap my mind around it. I can't understand it. It's like, even though it's okay, I don't mind. It's just like in my mind, no, it's daytime. We got to do stuff. I got this and this and this and this and no rest.
Yep.
So,
And so she is Vata Pitta.
so it's understanding
Yes.
yourself and others.
Yes. And
it
then
helps you to understand others as well
yes,
as yourself.
it does. Yes. So it helps you see the differences. So when you're sitting there saying, no, I want to go for a walk. I want to go do this. I want to go do this.
Let's
And
go.
he's like, I'm going to go take a nap. Like, so it does. It helps you kind of understand why there's a difference and understand why I'm doing this, but he wants this, instead of being like, I don't understand you. It kind of gives you a little glimpse of what someone else may be thinking or going through in their own body.
Right.
So that's, and then it also helps you catch, if you have an understanding of it, when you're out of balance or when they're out of balance, and kind of focusing on, some of the things that you may be doing that are putting you more out of balance or them out of balance. And it's very difficult sometimes when you're in a household with different doshas, because it's like, okay, well, I eat this and he eats this, but this does not balance me out, but it balances him out. So, and trying to find that, different framework of how to balance each other out.
Right. I'm wondering, and maybe you can answer this, if when you're like, so I usually want warm, savory foods as a Vata, but every now and then I'll go through a period where I want crisp, cool salad, but it's not often. Is that like my body saying, okay, you're a little out of balance, you may need to have this, or would that just be maybe I don't know. I'm like, is that listening to your body? Like when you have these certain cravings?
When your body is out of balance, it's going to crave things that will keep you out of balance.
Ah,
So that dosha wants to win. So if you're out of balance, so if you go back to the list of things and the things that I said, when you're out of balance, you'll experience this. If you go and you look at that list and these are things I'm having, then like right now, sometimes like the popcorn thing, sometimes I've had popcorn in a month and a half. I don't think, like, I just don't want it right now. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I really want popcorn every single day.
mhm.
So then I have to look at the symptoms I'm having. Is it because I need that dry airiness? And so my body's like, please have some popcorn, please have some chips. We need that. Or is it, I'm very anxious and nervous and my body's like, ooh, chips, to feed more into that,
Gotcha.
air dryness that I have. So you have to kind of look at your symptoms in that aspect. Are you having the balanced Vata symptoms, or are you having more imbalanced Vata symptoms? And
Okay,
then,
that makes sense.
yeah, if your body's in balance, it will crave what will keep it in balance. So you kind of have to look at what your symptoms are and what you're doing to know if you're in balance or out of balance, to know, because intuitively, yes, but if you're out of balance, your out of balance self is like, intuitively, I want more popcorn.
Okay. So you just kind of have to analyze it. Just
Analyze it and see,
yeah.
Are you having, like, I know I'll get more anxious. I'll have more trouble sleeping at night when my Vata is out of balance. That's how I know. When I'm laying there and I'm like, I can't sleep. My mind is everywhere. I'm thinking of everything. And, and it's like, okay, so what have I had to eat? And then, so I kind of do a self-assessment. I do a self-inquiry. What have I been eating? What have I been doing? What have I been, like, what other symptoms of impaired, out of balance Vata am I showing, and the other way. So sleep is one main thing. And then stools is another main thing. So if you look at just your stools, you can know, like, if you're in balance or out of balance by that. So if you're, and for Vata, IBS is a Vata thing. So if you've ever been diagnosed with IBS, that is, the inconsistency of it is a Vata thing. So you need to eat more Vata pacifying foods. So you want some of that dryness. But the thing is, the Vatas tend towards diarrhea or constipation. Like, they'll be opposite ends depending on where you're at on that spectrum. So it's all about balancing And Vada's the very first thing that we balance ahead of everything else. So if I'm out of balance in my Vata and my Kapha are both out of balance, I'm going to focus on Vata first. Vata is always first.
Okay.
Vata is the first one to go out of balance and the easiest to go out of balance. Congratulations, you're a Vata.
Awesome. Yeah, but it really makes sense. And when I was looking at the yoga for the different doshas, it's like perfect because Avada will just take sun salutations. If anyone's familiar with sun salutations, it's, inhale up, exhale forward bend, inhale step back. It's like it's a movement. Some people don't like it because it moves like that. When I do it as slowly, maybe not as slowly as some people would like me to do it, but I do it slowly and mindfully. And as Avada dosha, that's what I should be doing to calm and ground. And so that's what we're thinking about with yoga and with Avada dosha. With Pitta dosha, you may not even want to do sun salutations because they can be a little too heated. So you might want to focus on moon salutations or doing the sun salutations slowly and mindfully, and the cooling breath like I did with our last yoga class for Pitta season. That would be good for the Pitta dosha. Vata, no, you don't want to do that. You want to avoid the cooling breath and stick with the ocean breath like that I share when we do yoga. So there's all kinds of breath practices, but those are just two that I've done in my yoga classes. And so then when it comes to the kapha, you want to do sun salutations at a faster pace, and you might heat them up and get them going, get them moving, activate. So I thought that was interesting, learning about the different ways to look at sun salutations. And if you do sun salutations before sunrise, so before early sunrise, it will balance all three doshas. Now, the chances of me getting up and doing sun salutations in early sunrise will only happen if it's really hot and I'm doing a early morning hike and I need to be out. And then it is amazing because I've done that before. But early sunrise, I know a lot of people like to do yoga at that time. It's good for all three doshas at that time. But just like we talked about for everything else, for Vata, you want it to be grounding, calming. And then for when you move on to Pitta, it's you want to avoid competition and keep it like abdominal area twist. Let me go back to Vata. Vata is like working on the lower, and Pitta is the abdominal area twist, forward bends, heart opening. And then when it comes to Kapha, it's also the abdominal area, the chest area, but also back bends. So there's different things you can do depending on what your dosha is.
It's all intertwined whenever we are, doing our movement, and we're doing, what we are putting in our body nutritionally, and even, externally on our body, doing our skincare. And, a lot of people, we buy a lot of the products, and I don't want to get on a tangent on over-the-counter beauty products and how, we have such a toxic mindset on beauty products from our beauty industry, but just the things that we put onto our skin that are sold commercially usually do the opposite of what we want them to do, so that we buy more. So, and there's a lot, like I have the Wallflower Hippie shop. You can buy any of the stuff in there already made, but you can also make anything yourself at home with ingredients you already have, or you might have to buy a few ingredients. But there are things, if you don't want to put things on your body that you would not eat. So because your body absorbs, like a long time ago, someone told me this, you take like a piece of chocolate and put it between your toes, or a piece of garlic and put it between your toes, and you will taste it within like a minute, less than a minute. I think it's like 30 seconds. So you don't want to put all these chemicals on your body. And we'll probably do a tea talk one day on just some simple like skincare things that you can do to moisturize yourself. So all these commercial lotions, and everyone loves Bath and Body Works. And every time somebody's like, they're doing their sale and I see them, everybody posting on Facebook, they're going to the sale, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so horrible for your body, the chemicals that they put in all of those products that you're inhaling in your lungs every day, like the plug-ins, the candles, all of those things, they put all these chemicals in them, and then they disrupt our natural hormonal system. And then we just keep feeding into that. And I know I used to have plugins in my house and all that, and my allergies were horribly bad, and I was always sick. The kids were always sick, So I said I didn't want to go on a tangent on that, but here I am going on a tangent on that. But
it is true. It's isn't it, your skin is your largest organ.
Yes.
And anything that you touch, like I used to, I'll take bug spray, for example, with DEET in it. A lot of people use that. I'm from Florida, but I like stepped away from DEET a long time ago when I was carrying, remember the big, large camcorders, this big? And I had sprayed myself down with DEET, and that camcorder was rubbing against my leg, and it took the finish off the camcorder. The DEET took the black finish off the camcorder. And then I was like, what the heck is that doing to my body?
Yeah.
And so you will very rarely see me ever. It has to be super duper bad up in Maine in the 100-mile wilderness bad to ever put a dot of DEET on me anywhere. I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just, I could get on a tangent with that too.
Yeah, there are natural essential oils that you can use. And whenever I say essential oils, I'm talking about pure essential oils, not the MLM essential oils. Don't get me started on that either. Like the doTERRA, I don't know how to say it. There's that one, and there's another like MLM. Those are not your best quality essential oils. I don't care what they say. They're selling you a bill of goods. You need to go to a good refinery and get you some good quality organic essential oils. You will pay more money for them probably, but they last longer and they're pure.
Right.
So and then Google it for what you want. What essential oils work for what? I have a spray that I put on my dogs when we go on hikes that's to prevent them from getting ticks on them. And it's made with essential oil. So there's all kinds of things out there that you can Google and to find that are not harmful and toxic to you or your animals for your body care, for your home, everything. So, and then that's, I'm going to end that tangent because we'll go on.
Yeah, I know.
Another day. So if anyone is interested in learning more about Ayurveda, I do have a coaching program on Ayurveda where I'll take you one-on-one through what your dosha is and kind of walk you through things to do specifically for your own body. So I do have that available. I only have 2 or 3 slots available at a time because it takes a long time to work with someone on this specific type of coaching, whereas mindset coaching is a little bit less involved. So there's a greater time investment with the Ayurveda. So if anybody's interested in learning about that, you can always go to my website and you can request that. We'll see you next Saturday morning for our next tea talk at 9:30 Eastern. Have a wonderful day.